Retro Rewind. Retro Rewind. One-on-one.
It's Retro Rewind. I'm Dave Harris. Joining me in studio right now, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer with the great band, the Talking Heads, one of my all-time favorite bands, David Byrne. David, thank you so much for joining us here on Retro Rewind.
Thanks, Dave. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing great. Thanks a lot. Question. Did you know or did you have an idea that you were doing something very revolutionary or different or important to music at the time?
Well, I always thought, I felt simultaneously that what we were doing was revolutionary, and then at the same moment I also felt that it was inconsequential, or that it was nothing. It was either everything or nothing. It was never, there was very little in between. It was either the greatest thing since sliced bread, or was something that anybody could do. I realized, and of course that's why I guess you make music, that you feel that there's a gap, and that only you or you and your friends can fill it, and that no one else seems to be doing the job, and so you're going to have to do it yourself.
And how do you feel now about the music of Talking Heads?
I think most of it holds up pretty well. Not all of it. There's some songs I think that sound pretty dated. There's some songs that weren't that great to begin with. But I think surprisingly a lot of it holds up pretty well. And a lot of it, because it was so groove oriented, seems to sound remarkably contemporary.
You know, I think, David, because you have a very unique vocal style, it might make it difficult for more artists to maybe cover or redo Talking Head songs. Maybe that's just my assessment, because I do think it's very unique. What do you think about that?
Of course, I'm not aware of having a unique vocal style. And nobody, I think, is completely comfortable with the way their own voice sounds when they hear it recorded. And I'm not unique in that. I'm no different in that way. I'm not comfortable with my own voice either. Of course, I'd love for more of the songs that I've written, more of the songs that wrote with Talking Heads to be covered. And you might be right that people associate them so much with the sound of my voice that they can't imagine the song out of that context. But some of the songs do hold up out of that context. I think when I began singing, even before Talking Heads, at some point I decided that I was going to try and have no influences. I was certainly not going to try and sound like a black man from Mississippi, which is what a lot of white rock and rollers tried to sound like. And I wasn't going to try and sound like something I wasn't. I thought, I'll just try and sing in my natural voice as much as I can, and use the same kind of language or something close to it that I use when I'm speaking. I thought this would be a pretty unusual idea for pop music, and especially for rock and roll, but it didn't seem to be something that was going to be that difficult for me. It just seemed odd in the rock context.
Retro Rewind!